Hi, I'm Luthier Brian Howard, and today we're going to talk about masking off guitars in preparation for spray finishing. I like to use this masking tape right here. It's made by 3M. It's number 233. It's green in color. It's a lacquer resistant, solvent resistant masking tape. If you're spraying any type of solvent based finishes and you use a tape that's not solvent resistant, you're apt to have a really big sticky mess at the end. I'm going to be using a one component sealer and filler on the back and sides of this guitar, and I really don't need the filler on the top, so I want to mask that off prior to spraying. The bindings are all wood though, and I may need some filler on the bindings, so I'm going to mask off right inside the bindings with tape. Start off right here. I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to push it back into that corner just using a discount card from one of the local stores that we shop at. I'm going to work it in there nice and tight because that's a good place for lacquer to seep in. Press it back down again because it lifted a little bit. Now we're going to keep tension on the roll out here with our middle finger, and we're going to use that to kind of stretch the tape out and around, and just watching the contact point right in front of my other index finger. I'm just going to walk this tape right on around here, keeping it nice and taut. And you know, if I get a little too far away, I can lift it up and come back at it. That's how I pull it out ahead and then just meet it to the curve. And this tape's really compliant. This is 1/4 inch wide. It works great for guitars. It's one of my primary masking tapes. I have it in other sizes, but it conforms well. You can see if it starts to creep over a little bit, you can lift it right back up. It'll still stick just fine. And we're going to do this the whole way around the top of the guitar, just like this. Keeping the tape nice and taut with the roll in our hand, stretching it right along, and you can just see right along there. I'm just working right along that black edge of that Kirkland, just leaving the slightest little piece of the top show. Maybe 10-15 thousandths at the most. Just enough to be sure that I'm not covering up that black binder. I get over here, I'm just going to switch my hands and keep working. I like to do this in a single piece whenever possible, because anytime you have a lap or a splice in the tape, it's always a place where lacquer can creep underneath, and that's something that you may have to clean off or take care of later, obviously, or else you wouldn't be masking this off. And just come right up around. Again, keeping that tape tight and just watching where it's laying right before you press it down. Careful how hard you press. You don't want to score the top underneath the tape with your thumbnail or anything. Now, we're going to go around. We want to make sure that edge is sealed down. So we're just going to go around with our bonus card just on the outer edge of the tape, right where we want it to seal. Make sure we get it pressed down really nice. These cards are nicer than credit cards because they're generally thinner and a lot more flexible. Okay, so now we're going to do the fretboard. We're going to do the edges of the fretboard. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off, but we got to do this differently. So we're going to take that tape, we're going to run it right down the edge, staying back in from the very edge just a little bit, 25 thousandths or so is key. Now we got to do this differently because we got to conform to the frets. So we're going to pull some tape out. We're going to kind of let it go slack. And I'm going to try and do this so you can see it. You pull the tape in like that. Now we can pull it kind of tight. We let go, you work it up and over the fret, pressing it in on both sides. Lay that tape down right along the edge, like that. Lift it up, work it over the fret and down the other side. Lay it back down so gently. Work it down with our bonus card. I want a little more tape. I like to stay ahead of it. It seems to be a little easier to work with. We're just going to come up over the fret. We're going to press it in. We're going to lift it up. Put it back down. Work it over the fret and in on both edges. Lift it up just a little bit. Make sure you hold it down in there. No tension, very little tension. If you actually pull on it, you pull it back up in these little areas right here, and then you get while finished, it creeps under the edges. And that starts to defeat the purpose of masking it off. Plus the lacquer's really a bugger to clean up when it's laid in tight against the fret like that. As the frets get closer, it gets a little easier. Just gotta remember not to pull on the tape unless you're holding it down with the card. We're just gonna work our way right on down. And then we're just gonna go back up through here. We're gonna make sure we got everything down. Press in there, get that tape down nice and tight there at the ends of the frets. And we should get very little, if any, lacquer underneath there. So now we're going to just go ahead and do the other side. Now that we have the edges done, we just need to mask off the center. You could do this with paper if you wanted to cut a piece of paper. I usually don't. I'm just going to fill it in with some 3/4 masking tape. This is also a lacquer-proof tape. It's just made by a different company. It came from a different supplier. And we're not going to be spraying up on the fretboard, so we don't have to worry about being quite as nice. We just need to worry about getting a little bit of overlap onto the green tape. And that'll be sealed up pretty good. Okay, so another thing we need to mask off is the nut slot. So we're going to go ahead and push that right down into there, all that tape, and go ahead and just trim it off with our X-Acto knife. Like that. Before we trim off the other end, we're just going to take the card and we're going to make sure we got this sealed down. Go down over it like this. Okay, now you notice I also outlined the rosette with tape because this is an all wood rosette, and most rosettes anyway could use a good fill. Since I'm using a 1-part sealer and filler, I need to put someone to fill that. So I've traced a piece of rice paper with the outline of the guitar, and I've cut it around inside that outline, staying in about the width of that masking tape right there. And I'm going to use a piece of tape down here on the lower bout on each side just to kind of hold it in place. I want to make sure that doesn't go out too far, so it doesn't spoil my masking edge out there. Put another little piece over here. This will help keep it. Push it up into the crease. I'm going to use my card to hold it. Now this you kind of only get one shot at, because once it touches the paper it's stuck, so you got to make sure it's laying the way you want it to. Sometimes you got to wrinkle the paper up a little bit. All I really need to do is tape this down. I'm just going to keep going right over my other pieces of tape. Don't matter. Make sure that this is down. If there's no exposed wood. But now we got to do the rosette. So what we're going to do now, I can see the tape through my rice paper. I'm just going to go along and I'm going to gently cut right through the middle of the tape. My X-Acto knife. Gotta make sure you stay on the tape. Slide off the tape, you're gonna have a big old scratch in your spruce, or in this case your cedar, and that's not gonna make you real happy. And there we have that. My blade's getting a little dull, so this blade's gonna head to the trash can after this job. But there we go. We got a little bit of a tear right there. We'll fix that right up with some tape then after we get this guy taped down. So it's kind of the same thing we just did around the outside. Now we want to do it on the inside. Right around. What we need to do is block off the sound hole. And the way I do that is really just quick and easy. Take some newspaper, I wad it up into a ball, stuff it down in there, like that. Take another couple pieces of paper, and fold them up, like that. And just, I have to fold this one down a little bit smaller. This is a smaller sound hole. We just take this and push it on down in here, and our other ball of paper pushes it up once we get it positioned just right. So there, we're not getting a whole lot of overspray in our hole. And there you have it. In a matter of a few short minutes, we got this guitar all masked off, ready to head out to the spray booth. We can start spraying our finish on it. I've been happy to show you how to do this. I do this all the time. And if you ever decide you don't want to do this, remember, I'm here to do finishing for people just like you. If you ever like a price quote on having your guitars finished or refinished by me, feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.